I know you have a winning mentality, so like, did you ever think like, what the fuck? Like, how did I lose? How is this possible? I'm so much better than Salido. Like, how did this happen?
Look, in my mind, I didn't lose any fight in a professional boxing. In my mind.
Yeah.
So that's why I sleep very well.
So you still feel you're undefeated?
Yes.
So,
No, I didn't talk about you mean undefeated? Sorry.
Yeah,
yes. In my mind.
Yeah. You're still undefeated.
So I don't care about
Salido win, Teo win. You're
Look,
still.
if you
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxingego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Wow, that boy Vasiliy Lomachenko says in his mind he is still undefeated. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Let me jump right in the mix. You guys heard the clip from a media scrum with Vasiliy Lomachenko. As you guys know, he's taking on Devin Haney, May 20th. Great fight, undisputed fight. Loma says it's a dream of his, and I fully support great boxing. And this is a good fight. Devin Haney called Lomachenko out probably when he was 20, 21. Now they're meeting up probably like 4 years later. Devin Haney's about 24 years old. So we'll see what happens. Now, you guys heard the clip, Vasiliy Lomachenko. He says in his mind, he is still undefeated. Now, I'm not here to beat around the bush. So my thoughts, I think that's one of the dumbest things that I've heard in boxing in 2023 for several reasons. One, what are we, 6 years old, like little kids playing cops and robbers where you could just imagine and conjure anything up, and that's supposed to be, this world or land of make-believe, and that's supposed to be your reality. I remember doing that as a kid. Like, we would, have certain resources. We didn't have iPhones when I was a kid. We didn't have iPads and all this other type of stuff. We didn't have internet the same. So at the end of the day, we had to use our imagination and create make-believe worlds and, cops and robbers and cowboys and Indians and things like that. And that's where it sounds like Lomachenko's brain is. He really said he's undefeated in his mind. Now, this wouldn't be so bad if, let's say you're a Sean Porter, and up until probably the Terrence Crawford fight, because that fight it ended in a knockout, so there's nothing you could really say there. But a lot of his previous fights, some people thought it could have went either way. Kell Brook was pretty close. You had the Keith Thurman fight. Some people thought Thurman won. Some people thought Porter won. Even in the Errol Spence fight, some people thought the knockdown was the difference maker. Some people thought it could have been a draw, all kinds of stuff like that. So there are guys in boxing who, they have losses, and the whole world of boxing knows it's some BS. Like, in my opinion, if we're talking about recently, the David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant card, you had Jose Valenzuela, El Rayo, and he fought Chris Colbert, and now it looks like he has 2 back-to-back losses. One, he actually got a loss because it got stopped by Edwin De Los Santos. Great performance by him. But the second loss is BS. So, you got to look at it on a case-by-case basis. If it's something like El Rayo where he never was hurt, there are cases where the fighter gets jobbed by the judges or something like that. That wasn't the case when talking about Vasiliy Lomachenko. Yeah, that's a good name for him, Vasiliy, because he acting real silly right now. You can't just have fights where the consensus is that you lost. Like, even Lomachenko apologists and the diehard fans and old media, I never even really seen or heard them say that they thought Lomachenko won the fights that he lost. If anything, it's actually the other way around, which makes the conversation even more foolish. So what do I mean? His last fight, for example, he fought Jermaine Ortiz, who banked a lot of early rounds. And to me, Lomachenko did not look great or sensational. Basically, everything that old media said, I didn't really see that specifically in that fight. You know, the size of Ortiz, the jab, the athleticism, the power, it just didn't look like the typical Lomachenko. See, that's the thing. Old media, they're looking bad right now because they put Lomachenko on this crazy pedestal, and then now he's not able to fill those shoes. They made the shoes too big. And that's the reality of. So now you're seeing all these excuses. Oh, Devin's a heavyweight. Oh, Devin's too young. Oh, see, this is what old media does. So when Devin Haney is the fighter who's has youth on his side, all of a sudden the youth is a strength. It's an advantage. Like, oh, he's young. But then the same fans and the same old media, when Floyd Money Man, easy work, I ain't got to worry about it. When he was the older veteran fighter and he was 36, gonna be 37, so he was pushing 40, and he was fighting the young up and coming fighter who had beaten Shane Mosley, who had stopped Jose Cito Lopez, who brutally knocked out Carlos Baldemir, mutual opponent of Floyd, who had just beaten Austin Trout. When Canelo stepped in the ring, they had about almost as many fights as each other. Like, let's say Floyd had 45 fights, Canelo had 44 fights. Obviously, the level of competition was different, but to each his own. Canelo had his own path to get where he was at, and Floyd had his path. He's an Olympian who got robbed in the Olympics. So, again, when Floyd fought a 23-year-old, bigger, stronger Canelo Alvarez, old media says it was a disadvantage. They say, oh, he was too green. Oh, no, he wasn't ready. They said Canelo wasn't ready. But now, when you have a black fighter, an American fighter, a guy like Devin Haney, now the youth is an advantage. So it's funny how these things work and these double standards work. For Canelo to be 23, fighting an older Floyd who was well out of his probably true weight class, Canelo was too green and he was too inexperienced and he wasn't ready. And those same old media and race fans, they waited until many years later when Floyd was retired from the sport of boxing and Canelo was fighting as high as 175. And then now they let their nuts drop and said, oh, Mayweather should rematch Canelo now. No, it doesn't work like that. So I find it funny in this Haney-Lomachenko situation that people aren't framing it the same way. They're saying Loma's too old. They're saying Loma. I mean, age is wisdom, is experience. The stuff I know now, I didn't know when I was 21 years old. If I did, I'd be a billionaire if I knew everything I knew now. But that's what happens as you mature with age and, you learn different stuff. I mean, imagine like even me being a YouTuber. Imagine if I started YouTubing the year YouTube came out and I decided to try to make this a career. I didn't do that until, some years later. So you live and you learn. So being older also can be an advantage. You carry experience, but the bottom line is what you're seeing is old media is not confident. So they're coming with the pre-built excuses for Vasiliy Lomachenko. And it's funny because when Wilder says Tyson Fury's a cheater, people are all up in arms and like, how could he say that? That's crazy. He's delusional. They say these types of things. But then when Lomachenko is in the media scrum and he's saying he's undefeated in his mind and he doesn't have any losses as far as he's concerned, nobody seems to think that is a weird statement to make. Now, let's further examine, since we unpack coming to you live. Let's further examine the actual losses that Lomachenko does have, like Salido. He lost the fight. He started slow. He did good in the 12th round, almost stopped Salido, but coulda, shoulda, woulda. It's not about what you almost did, it's about what you did. Salido having experience. See, Salido was knocked out in his first pro fight in Mexico. So he didn't have any breaks. He came up in the Mexico circuit, fighting probably older and bigger people, and he just had to learn on the job. So they come from two different worlds. And when Lomachenko turned pro, he wasn't ready for roughhouse like tactics. And that's part of the pro game. It's not the amateur where you're just touching the score and look at to bank and score up tallied points. There's different tactics. Some people, they'll hit you low to make you uncomfortable. They'll rabbit punch you. They'll use their forearm. I mean, you have to put your faith into the ref. And if the ref ain't giving you the calls that you want, then you got to keep fighting. And that's just the nature of it. So Lomachenko absolutely in his second pro fight wasn't ready for that transition, but that's his own confidence and that's his own arrogance. He thought that, oh, I'm Lomachenko, I got almost 400 Emmys, that I could just come in and no matter what style, I'm gonna do something that you ain't seen before and I'm gonna beat a Salido in my second fight. And it didn't work out for him, but that was an L. Now also Teofimo, he came out strong. Lomachenko was afraid of Teofimo's size, athleticism, and power, and Teofimo really banked all of the early rounds. Lomachenko was very tentative and apprehensive for the first 6-7 rounds. So it's a 12-round fight. There were no knockdowns. Lomachenko didn't get a knockout. So what is he talking about? He's undefeated. Now, there's a difference between telling people in your mind you're undefeated and maybe even saying something like, everybody I lost to, I think I'm better than, or I could beat them, because then that could be a little bit more subjective. But it's in poor taste to do what Lomachenko is doing. And it sounds really borderline narcissistic, to be honest, because it's no shame in losing. Like, that's why I respect Caleb Plant. I know he don't have nothing to do with this video, but real is real. Caleb Plant went out there, tested himself with Canelo, lost by stoppage, nearly got stopped by Benavidez, but gave it a go, pushed both fighters, showcased his heart, his skill, and you can't break a poor boy's chin in the Benavidez fight, all this type of stuff. That's why even in the loss, it got people really respecting Caleb Plant, just because that's what boxing's about. You're not going to win every single fight. It's very hard to do, That's reserved for the Andre Wards and the Floyd Mayweather and Calzaghe and a select handful of people who can go their entire career without taking a loss. But for the rest of us, for the rest of the fighters, they're not that fortunate. So it's not even a shame to lose, but for Lomachenko to insist that he's undefeated in his mind, it just sounds like poppycock. And ironically enough, old media, they let him say it, and they have no qualms or quarrels or any issues with it. They think this is regular for Lomachenko to be saying he's undefeated in his mind. Devin Haney seen it on Twitter and just laughed at it because, again, it is laughable. So y'all got to keep the same energy. When Devin fights, he's fighting an undefeated fighter. Well, at least in Lomachenko's mind, he's undefeated. So if Devin wins, I do not want to hear any excuses about Lomachenko was too old, or, he has seen better days. He had too many amateur fights. He's a true featherweight. Don't tell me none of that. So old media, they continue to shoot themselves in the foot and make themselves look dumb, because now with Lomachenko saying he's undefeated, I don't believe it. But if he really believes that, then there's no excuse if he loses yet again to another young fighter. So he better win and beat Devin Haney, because I'm not accepting any excuses from the Lomachenko fans. He says he's undefeated, so there's no reason for his confidence to dip. Even though I think the Gary Russell Jr. fight was extremely close, where he should have probably gave him a rematch. The Jermaine Ortiz fight. So realistically, he should probably have at least one more loss on his record. But in Lomachenko's mind, he's undefeated. Now, lastly, I think this is pretty ironic given the fact that ESPN on multiple occasions put up fake graphics saying that Lomachenko was undefeated and scrubbed away his losses. So to hear Lomachenko say that he feels he's undefeated, well, ESPN did too, because there's multiple telecasts where they put his record as like 17-0 or 18-0 and completely acted as if he doesn't have any losses. But the reality is, the history books, when they're written, box rec, they say what they say, and Lomachenko can say like 50 years from now, no one's going to be like, oh, Lomachenko thought he was undefeated. They're going to look to the history books and be like, Lomachenko lost this fight and he lost this fight. He won these fights, period. So I thought it was a weird statement. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. I'm the best in the business. Subscribe. We unpack. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxingego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with the $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new interactive and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.